Ready, here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're excited to see you for another round of Gray Anatomy. And special thanks to our partner, LMH Health, for doing this with us. These are some of the most popular classes that we offer. And we've had a bit of a hiatus. I think we took a 2-month break over the summer. So we're back in action now that it's September. And are really pleased with the level of interest in this particular class, which is on physical therapy. So we're going to get some tips on how to live longer and live stronger by through some functional fitness and other tips from Jodi Morgan, who's a physical therapist at LMH Health. So I'd like to also welcome Autumn Bishop, who is with LMH Health. And Autumn, you want to unmute and say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us. My name is Autumn Bishop. I'm the marketing manager here at LMH Health. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Just wanted to kick off by making you aware that our Walktober program is getting ready to start. So if you haven't signed up and you want to start, this free fitness program is available. Just sign up on our website at lmh.org. Click events at the top and Walktober will be listed there. Also, if you like what you hear from us and you want to schedule any physical therapy, I can give you that number and I'll put it in the chat too. It's 785-505-2712, or you can reach out to me directly in the chat and I can have one of our schedulers get a hold of you. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. All right, just a quick preview of your Zoom screen. Jodi will be sharing her screen during the course of the presentation. So that's what you'll see for most of the time is her PowerPoint. And then following that, she's going to do a couple of demonstrations so that you can see her in action and learn some good tips on how to strengthen yourself and that sort of thing. So if you have a question in the course of the conversation, there's a chat bubble, like a little speech bubble on your screen. If you click that, please put your question, just write it in to the chat and I'll make sure those are monitored and they get answered in the course of the conversation. And at the end, if there's still time, we can call on you, you can unmute and ask any questions that you'd like. So it's a pretty casual conversation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jodi and let her share her screen and take it from there.
Okay, great. All right. I'm going to give this a little go here. Are we good? Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Perfect. Okay, so let me know if you're having trouble hearing or anything like that. Otherwise, we'll kind of get in. Thank you for that nice introduction. I'm glad to be here today. Let me see. Okay. I spend a lot of time on the computer, but I'm not that technologically savvy, so bear with me. All right, so my name is Jodi. I'm a physical therapist here at LMH Health, and just a little bit of information about me. So I originally graduated from Emporia State. I got a bachelor's degree in biology, and then I went on and got my doctorate in physical therapy from KU Med. And that's been 15 years ago. I know I don't look that old, but I have been doing this for 15 years. It's a really rewarding career. I really love it, but I haven't been here for that whole time. I've only been here about 6 years. My current practice is mostly outpatient. So that just basically means if you're somebody that lives at home, but you need physical therapy and you can come to the clinic, I'm one of those therapists that you might see here in the clinic. But I see a wide variety of patients with orthopedic conditions or neurological conditions. I also really love working with patients who have amputations and helping them get their prosthetic limbs and working on being able to walk again with their prosthetic limbs. So that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I also I've basically done it all. I've done acute care, long-term care. I did a lot of wound care and just, lifelong wellness type of things. So just so you know, I know a little bit about what I'm talking about here. I live in Lawrence. My husband he's a townie. He didn't ever want to live in Lawrence because that's where he went to school and stuff, but now he loves it. So, and we have 2 kids who are both in elementary school. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about you. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Just a few objectives. When I was thinking about making this presentation, and I know we've all kind of sat through presentations before that talk about just lifelong wellness. So I wanted to really zero in on something that I've been hearing a lot about, which is like increased sitting time. Like the CDC even came out with sitting is the new smoking. And so I kind of want to just delve into that. Like, why did they say that? How does sitting affect our bodies and affect our health? And then what kind of things can we do to contradict that? So sitting is part of our lives. Sometimes we have to sit. So what kind of things can we do to offset that? Then the other part that I wanted to focus in on was because an excuse I get from a lot of people is, well, I have to work. I have work I have to do, and I must sit for that. And so setting up an ergonomically correct workspace can be really helpful for a lot of people. So I wanted to touch on that, and also just incorporating more activity into your daily life. And then like Kathleen said at the end, I thought I could do a few demonstrations, and if people feel inclined, they want to do a few exercises with me, because obviously I prescribe exercise every day. So I think that's an important part of our daily lives. Okay, so sitting, why is it bad? So there's been some studies done on this actually. And, you know, obviously when we're thinking about sitting, it's like sitting is going to use less energy than maybe standing or walking. One thing that I found in my research was the average adult is sedentary for about 9 hours per day. And older adults, that actually increases to 10 hours per day. So that kind of caught me by surprise, because that seems like a large chunk of time. So one study that I looked at actually said that adults who are sitting more than 8 hours a day have a risk of dying that is similar to that of obesity and smoking, which is kind of terrifying, right? Because most of us, the average adult, is sitting already for 9 hours per day. There's also been research that shows that increased sitting time is associated with diabetes and cardiovascular disease and even cancer. I have some of these studies kind of at the end too as resources if anyone wanted to check that out. So, okay, so we've got these statistics. Well, what's like the anatomy of that? Why is it actually so bad? So if you're thinking about when you're sitting down, your blood flow kind of slows down, because actually muscles, when muscles contract, they help squeeze our lymphatic system, they help squeeze our venous system. And so actually moving and exercising our muscles and using them helps our blood flow. So when we're just sitting and we're stagnant, that blood flow actually slows down. And so the things that are already in our blood, maybe there's fatty acids, they become more stagnant, and that gives them a chance to actually like accumulate inside of the blood vessels. So I put that little picture there to just demonstrate that. But that's one of the causes of heart disease is atherosclerosis. Lack of blood flow, like in the legs, if you've ever heard of something called like a DVT, that's called a deep vein thrombosis, which is a blood clot in your legs. So anytime blood is stagnant, it's not moving, it has a tendency to clot together. And so that can make a little clot like in your lower legs. If that were to happen, that's usually the cause of a stroke, which is like when it travels to your brain, or a pulmonary embolism. So like a blood clot that travels to your lungs. This is why people get blood clots like on airplanes, because they're not moving around that much if they're taking a long flight. So sitting for extended periods of time is also, it can also lead to insulin resistance, which is the cause of diabetes. And your body's ability to just use its calories and use its fats is slowed down, and your body will in fact then store the fat, which is the cause of obesity. So all these things together, it can seem pretty scary. We have to do the doom and gloom first, right? Oh, okay. So one note on obesity here. So I looked at this study that people who were sitting for longer, they actually reported that they had higher, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's go back. Okay. Participants who were sitting more than 8 hours a day, they actually had 62% higher odds of obesity than people who only sat 4 hours per day. And this was regardless of activity level. So this is maybe even people who are exercising, are walking, maybe after work, they're taking a nice walk, but they still have higher chance for obesity. And why is that? It's because what I said on the previous slide, insulin resistance. So just that prolonged period of time when you're not moving, your body is thinking, well, I don't need to use very many calories right now. I need to hold on to my calories because I'm not expending very many calories. So even if you are exercising, you can still be hurt by long sitting time. Then obesity, I found this really interesting article that was about chronic pain. The people in that study reported 68% more pain. The obese people reported 68% more pain than people who were of a normal weight. And what it said in the study was that, this could be caused to increased inflammation markers, that the obese people had increased inflammatory markers than the people who are of the normal weight, like cortisol and things like that. So chronic pain is something that, a lot of people struggle with, but, if you could work on having a normal weight to combat your pain, that would be pretty awesome. So people who have chronic pain, they have more time off of work, more sick leave. They report just a general lower quality of life, and it has just higher socioeconomic costs. Those people cost more to the healthcare system and require more, doctor's visits and things like that. Okay, so this is when I'm thinking about sitting time and when I'm talking about this with my patients, let's think about the things that count as sitting time. I think the biggest thing for me or for most of my patients is that they're doing work. Maybe they're working a job, they have schoolwork, studying. Those things might seem like, well, I have to be sitting for this. So we'll come back for that later. Commuting is also a big one if we have a lot of drive time. Screen time, which I feel like I lean towards like, oh, we'll just cut the screen time. But a lot of people, we like to relax. We want to watch a movie. We want to watch our shows, So that's necessary for some of us too. Computer time, video games, all of that. Reading, puzzles or games, and then even eating meals. So sitting time is cumulative throughout your day and throughout your week. So kind of think about what activities do you perform? Is there anything that I didn't touch on that maybe contribute to your sitting time? So then if sitting's so bad for us, like how much activity should I be getting? So there's some good news here. There have been studies that actually show that moderate to vigorous intensity exercise of 60 to 75 minutes per day can help eliminate the risk of mortality associated with high sitting time. Okay. That's good news, right? We can do something about this. But the average American actually only gets less than 20 minutes of physical activity per day. So 75 minutes is kind of a steep goal there. But Just like I said, sitting time was cumulative throughout your day, so is exercise time. So it doesn't have to be 75 minutes of taking a 4-mile run. It could be chunked up into smaller periods of time. Maybe that's 10 minutes at a time. Maybe that's, a walk around the block for 15 minutes a couple times a day. Even leisurely physical activity can be beneficial for us. It helps us burn more calories, which can lead to weight loss. It helps us increase our energy, improve our muscle tone, and that helps us maintain our ability to move. We need to have strength to move our joints, and then also improve our mental well-being. So I just put a few things. Some of these, you might have heard before, and some of them not, but I think it's always good to just try to review some of these things and set some goals, for ourselves maybe. So some things to increase your activity, just getting up and moving around every 30 minutes. That's kind of a general recommendation, every 30 minutes. That helps us reset our posture too, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in the future of this presentation. But resetting your posture, if you're somebody who has like neck issues or lower back issues, that can be really helpful to just try to change positions every 30 minutes. So if you're talking on the phone, can you stand up? Can you walk? Can you pace around? Just try to get some extra steps in that way. Instead of sitting to read, I like to read. And so it's really easy for me to sit and read for an hour, 2 hours. But one thing that I have seen, or I have started doing, which is actually use the library's website to get some audiobooks. So I can get more of my reading list checked off, but listen to my book and take a walk, take my dog out, garden, clean the house, all the things where I need to get those things done. But I'm also getting my books read, right? I think it still counts.
It still counts. Take it from me, it still counts.
So we don't have a ton of public transport here, but if you are somebody who, is taking a bus or a train or something like that, you can either stand on the public transport or try to get off a little bit early, maybe a block early, and just walk if it's a nice day. Parking near the back of the parking lot, that might not seem like a lot, but some of these stores, my goodness, sometimes it can be a lot of extra steps. So, but that's, just these little things can make a difference. Drinking more water. You'll have to make more trips to the bathroom, but you'll also be better hydrated and you'll get more steps. So I think we all could use more water. And then this is the big one, just commit to doing it every day. Just try to commit to some sort of exercise every day, group fitness, exercising with a friend. Like the lady at the beginning said she took a walk or a hike with her friend. That's so good. Just like you're getting that social time, but you're also getting that exercise time. So it's a 2-for-1. There's walking groups. There's ladies who go and walk like at Target when it's cold out. I have patients who have a walking group at Target. So I think that's really a nice way to get that time with that connection with your friend or your family member maybe, and also hold yourself accountable.
No, I think the peer pressure of getting yourself out is really good. That's if my neighbor weren't waiting for me in the driveway at 6:30 in the morning, I probably would not be there. So
yes.
there is a question in the chat from Stephen and Cindy. Isn't it critically important to intersperse activity throughout the day rather than all at once, say at the end of the day?
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of goes back to that slide where it showed, the blood clot, where we want to keep moving. We want to keep that blood flow going. And that's, like I said, that 30 minutes is kind of the general recommendation for changing positions, moving around. It doesn't, I always tell people, I'm like, it doesn't have to be a time suck. Like every 30 minutes, I'm taking like 15 minutes to do something. It can be a 5-minute stroll just around the house, or some squats, or I'll show you some other exercises you can incorporate into your life. But yes, I definitely think that moving throughout the day is really important.
Great.
Okay, so again, I see a lot of people who are like, I just can't do that because I have to work, and that takes a lot of my time. And I totally understand that. So here at the hospital, there are elevators, but there are also stairs. And so even just taking the stairs, if I'm taking them a couple times a day, I'll add in about 8 extra flights. You know, if I'm just going up and down, even I'm going down to the cafeteria and coming back up, still always take the stairs if you can safely. Standing up while you're reading emails, just kind of committing to, hey, while I'm doing this mundane activity, I'm going to stand for this. Walking meeting, that's basically where you chat, you do the meeting, but you're taking a stroll. Maybe you're going around the hospital. Sometimes we do that. We walk around the whole hospital, or kind of walking up and down the hallways just to get the blood flowing. I think it helps me think better too, but I don't know. So walking during your lunch break. Sorry, someone's knocking on my door here. Yes. No.
Okay.
We are in a working clinic here.
Yeah.
So walking during your lunch break. I don't know how long a lot of people get. I feel like an hour is what most people probably get. But if it's a nice day like today, try to get out there and get 30 minutes or so. Yeah, a lot of times patients will, after my lunch, they'll come in and they'll say, I saw you walking around the building before my appointment. Yeah, I'm trying to. So moving the trash can just away from your desk, just getting a few extra steps while you have to throw your trash away, getting up that every 30 minutes, like I said, getting up and walking to a coworker's desk instead of sending them a message or emailing them. Or then this is the big one. These became so popular during COVID, is a standing or a treadmill desk. So if you have, wait, I think I'm going to talk about this in the next slide. No, I am going to talk about that though. So I have a desk that can go up and down, which is really nice for me, but I'm in a clinic, so I'm moving my desk around. I'm on my feet most of the day, so it adjusts for me to be able to stand up, but they do sell things like that you can use in a home office as well. So I just made like a little schedule here to kind of demonstrate my point about, let's say, a normal work day. These are things that, right, we have to do. We have to, let's say, if you're someone who maybe works, you got to commute, you have an hour-long drive, you work on your computer for 4 hours. Sorry, my throat is not where I want it to be. Okay, you work on your computer for 4 hours, maybe take lunch for an hour, got to work some more, drive home, eat dinner, TV and read, right? Altogether, that's 15 hours of sitting, which is quite a lot. So if we think about just adjusting our mindset a little bit, could we make a new normal work day? Well, we still have to drive to work. We still have that commute, but maybe we could get one of those standing desks and kind of intermix. I'm going to sit for 30, stand for 30. Okay, so we can make 2 hours of standing here. Maybe cut that lunch down to 30 minutes and take a little walk with our coworker for 30 minutes. Same thing in the afternoon. We got to do our computer work. We'll sit and stand, still going to drive. But instead of getting home and straight away just hitting the couch, what helps me is not sit down and just grab my dog, take him out, take a little walk. It doesn't have to be strenuous, right? Then potentially, could you come home and do a few of the exercises that I go over with you today? Then you've already got an hour and 30 minutes in of activity. That's fantastic. Still eat your supper, but then I put stand up while you're talking to your mom on the phone, because that's something I might do after dinner. Call my mom and tell her how my day was. That still would give me 2 hours to read or watch TV at the end of the day. So thinking about that, I've cut my sitting time to that 9 hours and 6 hours of active time. So a few little changes could really go a long way. Okay, is there any questions about like that portion? Any comments? Anyone want to weigh in?
Any questions either in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute and ask if you've got one.
I have one.
Uh-huh.
Is it actually more beneficial then to lie down while you're watching TV instead of sitting? Is that actually better?
That is a very interesting question. I think that I don't really know, but I think that the sitting in itself really refers to just like being more stagnant, if that makes sense. So I think any time that we're sedentary, that would be included maybe in that sitting time.
It's the lack of activity in general.
Yeah, that's an interesting question though.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about a little bit about seating also in this next portion. So I think if you're somebody who had like a specific complaint of maybe some back pain or neck pain or something, then you might be able to see where a certain sitting surface might be better.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Okay. So something I've seen a lot of people struggling with since the pandemic is that more people are working from home. And one statistic that I found said that about 60% of people who started working from home are still working from home. And I think that's probably about right. I'm seeing quite a few people at this point who are coming to me with complaints of just overuse. And by overuse, when we're talking about like an office sense, it's really just like poor posture and poor ergonomically designed spaces. More people just had to start using their home offices as their 100% office space, and they weren't equipped for that. And a lot of people didn't put any money or any changes into it. And so that is where we come into this exacerbation of poor posture, increased pain. And one thing that I have seen people doing is people who are working from home are actually working longer hours. They just, like, I had one person tell me that she felt bad that she was working from home because she just felt like she should be in the office, and she didn't want her bosses to think that she wasn't working hard enough. So she was putting in more time. She was taking less breaks. She wasn't taking her lunch break or anything, and her neck was wrecked. So I think that there's some other things at play that we didn't really think were going to happen with that working from home.
And I think that even though probably a lot of us, or a lot of you all in the audience maybe are retired, I think a lot of these same concepts apply of just being sedentary at home. And, you know, even though maybe you're not in front of a computer so much, or, you know, but you might be reading or sitting, and just want to make sure that it's all kind of all the same, whether you're employed or not. So,
well, and one thing is, I have a lot of patients who are retired as well, but like I have you know, people who are still, they're doing research on their computers.
Right.
They're doing ancestry research. I had someone who was just like proofreading a manuscript. You know, we still have work that we're doing on our computers. And so I think it's still relevant, even if you're not 8 hours a day in front of your
Right.
computer, it's still relevant, especially if you're someone who has complaints of a pre-existing condition or pain, to think about, oh yeah, after I work on my computer, I do feel like my neck is stiff. It's like, what can we do to just like improve that? So some of the things that I have seen patients specifically coming for me for, since they're working from home, is neck pain. And then headaches is very closely related to neck pain. Oftentimes headaches are caused from neck or poor posture, back pain, carpal tunnel, and then shoulder pain. I have seen a lot of people with shoulder pain, and it's really from just repetitive like mouse usage, and just everything's kind of in front of us. You can't really see my posture here, but like if everything's like forward, then when you try to lift your arm, it's painful, it pinches. We call that impingement. So yeah, I've seen a lot of patients with shoulder pain because of working from home. So again, breaks every 30 minutes. That's the best advice I can give anybody. Get up, move around, do some stretches. But also I'm going to talk a minute about just setting up a proper desk space. So even if you're not at your desk for a long length of time, if you are somebody who does some computer work, this is some things to think about here. So we want to, the first thing is that, so when you see this lady, she has a desktop computer, and laptops can be really, really hard on our bodies because we can't take the screen and move it to where it needs to be. So when the screen, the screen really should be only like, it should be 5 to 15 degrees. Sorry, that was like right in your face. Below our line of sight. We should be able to kind of tuck our chin and look down at the computer screen. If you're on a laptop, it's impossible to have your monitor at the right angle and also have your keyboard come out to be comfortable for your wrists. You won't be able to hold your shoulders relaxed. You'll have your shoulders hunched up kind of like this, and that can lead to a lot of neck stiffness. So if you only have a laptop, there are other keyboards you can get to like plug in the side and do a little drawer type of thing like this lady has there, so you can have your arms more relaxed. If you're doing a lot of transcribing or typing, a document holder can be really helpful because it keeps the paper up at the same level that you're already looking at, so you're not like looking down. I've seen a lot of people doing that. They're looking down, they're looking back up, and then their neck is hurting. Or people have 2 screens and then they have to look back and forth a lot, and that can really mess up a neck too. So for seating, you want to have a chair that you're able to move up and down a little bit so that you can have your legs being perpendicular to the ground, like this lady has. Sometimes that can mess with the height of, if you're short, like you have short legs like me, you need a little footstool to kind of prop your feet up then. Here's just another picture of a different setup. He doesn't have the drawer on this, but you can see that the monitor is much taller. So he was able to adjust the chair up a little bit, so he's not having to reach up to that keyboard. And there's actually been research that shows that those little wrist rests actually cause carpal tunnel because you're putting more pressure on the wrist where the carpal tunnel runs. So I usually tell people not to use those and just try to get your keyboard at a comfortable height. Okay, so that's all this that I have on that. Any other thoughts or questions? Before we move on?
Anyone have a question out there. And great. Well, let us know when it's time to do the like demonstration, because I think we'll want to unshare and then everybody will want to put you in speaker view at some point.
Okay, so I put these on here, but I'm happy to go over them. So because with my occupation, I spend a lot of my time doing exercises with other people and just helping people to incorporate these type of things into their daily lives. And I think it is really important to have a bank of things to work or to be able to draw from. Of course, there are always going to be things that limit us from being able to do some of these things. So as I'm going through them, if you're like, not for me, I don't like that one, it hurts me or whatever, then there's always modifications. There's always ways that I can change an exercise to make it fit you better. And I never want anybody to do something that is irritating a pre-existing condition. So I put quite a few exercises on here. So there's a variety of things you could kind of choose from. If you want to do them with me, you can. Otherwise, I'll demonstrate a few things, and then we can always, I don't know if we can publish the slides or something, or I can make an additional list, or if people wanted, or just, you know, try to remember. And
Right. You can always refer back to the recording, or if you've got the slides and are happy to share them, then I can send those out as well.
Okay, sounds good to me. All right, I'm gonna move my computer.
Okay.
So should I unshare?
Yeah, why don't you unshare? And then if everybody, there's a little button, at least on mine, it's in the corner, it says view. If you hit view and click on speaker, then whoever is talking will be big on your screen and everybody else will be back to being little boxes. So that way, Jodi, we can see you a little bit better. You're nice and big.
I'm trying to see where I can be to get a good, I think this will be fine. Okay.
Great.
Okay, so now you guys can't see my slides, but thankfully, see, I was prepared. I printed them, so I know what's on there. So the first little bout of exercises that I had picked for us was actually some standing exercises. I like to always give people things to do that you can do at home and that you can do safely. So I like a chair. Let me see here.
There you go. That's better. Okay.
I'm gonna try to get a little bit away. I'm sorry, I'm not very well prepared here.
Yeah. Well,
okay, so anyway, the first one is just a normal, like a sit to stand. It's kind of helping us to prepare for a squat, right? So I want to be, I'm going to show you from the side here. When we're doing like a squat, the form is pretty important, because if you're coming forward over your knees, that can be, see this? You see that?
Yeah. Yeah, you're good there.
That puts too much pressure on the knees, and that can lead to a lot of pain. So I usually have people get like some sort of a surface, a couch or a chair or something, and you're trying to act like you're gonna stick your butt out and you're gonna sit down in that chair. So we're sticking our booty out and sitting down in that chair.
Gotcha.
So it's more like touch my bottom, stand back up. Yeah. And this is one that if it's hard to do without using your arms, then you make that your goal and you do your arms, right? All of these can be modified to really just meet you where you're at. Exercise shouldn't be killing us. It shouldn't be hard. It should be easy for us to incorporate into our lives, and it should feel good. So if it doesn't feel good, if your knees are hurting, take a break and then start again.
So,
right?
so does it help to have your knees kind of pointed outward a little bit? And does that put less pressure on your knees?
Right. So squats can be done at different points. If I want to be here and doing like a wider squat, I'm definitely going to be working the inside of my thighs more. A narrower squat is going to work the front of my thighs more. They're all really good for butts and thighs, and that is the most functional exercise I can give to people. So I give that one out a lot.
Okay. How many squats is a good number?
You know what? 10, do 10, and then do 3 sets. If you can get to 30, you need to make it harder. So how do you make it harder? Well, I've
Let
got
me show
plenty ways to make things harder, but do it faster, right? If we go faster, that's harder. Don't use your hands. Hold something heavy. That will make it harder as well. So exercise prescription, there's a lot of research done on this as well, but the main thing to think about is high reps, you're working on endurance. Low reps with a heavier weight, you're working on strength. So I usually tell people, when you can get to 30, how can we make this harder for you? Because at that point, you're working on endurance. Okay, I like these stretchy bands because they're lightweight and they're easy to manipulate. So the next exercise, I apologize that you cannot see my entire body. So I'm going to try to scoot back a little bit, but I'm just tying this band around my legs.
Yeah, we can see
it.
you. Uh-huh.
Okay. So you're going to want something you can kind of hold on to, like a countertop. That's the best place to do some of these exercises, because the next one is a leg lift. You don't have to have the band, but if you want resistance, you can totally pick these up. I saw them at Five Below. I saw them I think I saw some at High B the other day. And I was like, that's a weird thing to have, but they had a whole exercise section. So when we're doing leg lift, we don't want to lean. We just want to use the side of our leg there. And we're doing 10. If you've ever been to therapy, you know that therapists really don't count. We just like let you get nice and tired, and then we'd be like, switch. So it kind of bites me in my own butt sometimes. Speaking of butts, this is a great exercise to help you improve the strength of your butt, which is honestly so important. That's what helps us hold us up. That's what helps us walk. Glute strength is so important for everybody. Great. Okay, I feel the burn in that one. That's great. So when you have your band on, another thing I love to do is resisted walks. Again, if you have a countertop or something, you can take some nice big steps and just have that band on. Forward and backward. Backward's going to get the glutes a little more. Forward's going to get the thighs a little more. And then my most favorite, but not my patient's most favorite, is a lateral walk. If you squat down, you're going to get even more because you're getting your booty also. So, see, I don't have a big space in here, but I'm breathing heavy. So I'm getting a little workout, which is great.
Well, and I would bet a little music would help kind of keep your mind off the pain.
Definitely. You know, I just read an article that was talking about how the benefits of music on exercise is pretty fascinating. One more exercise I like for the walking is, if you wanted to kick it up a notch, is do a squat at the same time as you're going forward and backward. A lot of my patients will tell you that I make them do this and they don't love it, but they like the results. Great. Okay. I'm taking my band off so I can show one more kind of exercise to do at the counter, and that's an elevated plank. So I'm going to raise this mat. So I think we all know what a plank is, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes a plank is a little bit too hard for people to manage. So I try to bridge that gap between a full plank and not doing a plank with like an elevation. So you basically find some sort of a surface that you can put your weight on. And this isn't a very good picture of me doing it, but you're putting weight through your arms. You have to tighten your tummy and really flatten your back and try to maintain that position in that angled position for 30 seconds. That's the gold standard there, is to be able to do that plank for 30 seconds.
So Jodi,
Repetition.
we have a question in the chat about, can you explain a little bit more about what a plank is?
Yes. I'm going to try to just show you on this.
Okay. Bless you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See on little. Okay, there we go. All right. Oh, I'll be able to show you on this. Okay. So
All right.
this is the traditional plank. It's like a push-up position. So you've got a tight tummy, your core is engaged, your shoulders are engaged. This is oftentimes very difficult for a lot of my patients to do. And you can see it's difficult for me to do. So to bridge that gap, we can do it where we're just like elevated like this. Or what I have on my other slide is what's called like a knee plank. So you go on your knees. Now, if your wrists bother you, just go down, right? This is so good for your core. I can't even think of an exercise that's as good as this. It's really tough to do when you're getting into it though. So if it's hard to do, that's where you kind of bridge that gap with an elevated plank. Okay, I'm going to go into a couple closed chain exercises since I already have this set up. So the first one I wanted to show you was this one. Again, 30 seconds, right? It doesn't seem like a long time until you're down here.
Yeah.
And then you're like sweating. So this is a great exercise. If you feel like you can't maintain like that really straight, you can put your booty in the air a little bit. I always prefer, I'm going to show you like this, a booty in the air a little bit versus this.
Okay.
That can hurt your back. The other thing that's really great for planks, if you can do it, is a side plank. And I'll show you the knee version. So see, I'm here. Pop your hip up. So there's plenty of space. And then we're working the love handles, right? Everybody always wants to get stronger in that aspect. And your butt is really working hard here.
Yeah, those are brutal.
You're hard, yeah. So
The same.
if that's too easy, you can try to, oh my gosh, I don't even want to show you on this mat table. Okay, that wasn't too bad.
Very nice.
There are tons of ways to make things harder. But there's also ways to make things easier too. So like I said, it should meet you partway. So we've got those, we've got our side planks. Okay, I've got a couple other weight bearing exercises for floor. So this would be like a floor, if you're on the floor, right? Trying to find a table with your back, tighten your tummy, kind of scoop your belly in a little bit, and just try to make your back nice and flat. Then you're trying to maintain that while you try to lift up your leg, right? Neck is neutral. I'm always really bad about looking up. Don't do that. And then just bring it back in and try to switch sides. So we're working our core, we're working our booty, we're working our shoulders because they have to hold us. This is a really good exercise for our whole body. If you want to kick it up a notch, you can give it an extra. We call this bird dog because you kind of look like a dog, right? Okay. Then another dog exercise, downward dog. I'm not very good at this, so, and I'm on this mat, but don't laugh. That looks like this, right? So again, we're trying to push with our arms. We're pushing back where we can be. Stretch out your hamstrings, stretch out your shoulders. Again, I'm not an exercise instructor, but I can try some of these things and it feels pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And we do have a question, a follow-up question regarding planks of what specifically do they help? What do they help strengthen, the planks?
Yeah, your core has a lot of layers. Your core actually makes kind of a corset. Mm-hmm. And so planks actually really help you build your core strength, which if you're somebody who has back issues, definitely that can improve back pain. Planks also help you improve your shoulder strength though, also, and your butt strength. So I like to, if I'm only going to get people to do 3 exercises, maybe I'm going to make them worth it, right?
So you had spoken just briefly about the importance of stretching, and can you comment on that a little bit more in terms of, there's all these exercises, but then there's, I think stretching really, really helps too in terms of not injuring yourself.
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely. So,
like, are there some good stretches that you'd recommend, like, before you take a walk or anything like that?
Yep. Hamstring stretches are one of the most, that I see people are really tight in the hamstrings. So that's the muscle on the back of your legs. And if your hamstrings are tight, we kind of showed you this. I move around a lot. So
putting you through the ringer here.
No, it's fine. If your hamstrings are tight on the back, it can pull your back into like a flattened position, which we normally have a little curvature in our back. If your hamstrings are too tight, because they do attach to your pelvis, they will pull your back down like this. And that over time can lead to a lot of back issues and even disc issues, herniated discs, and back pain. So I like to stretch people's hamstrings and teach them some stretches on their own. So I'll show you, I have a belt here. This is the easiest one, I think. Wrap the belt around, just put it your foot here and then pull back and lean forward, because I said the hamstring attaches up on your pelvis. So you need to get your hip involved. You have to lean forward. If I'm here, my hamstring's not stretching at all here. I got to get that hip. It's a 2-joint muscle. I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark on that. On those muscles that cross over 2 joints, you have to be stretching both joints. The other thing is stretches need to be held longer. Your hamstring is a huge muscle. If you want to stretch it, you got to hold it for at least 30 seconds. And you probably better do it twice for 30 seconds if you want to make a difference there.
Great.
The other exercise or the other stretches that I think are really valuable is for our lower back. A lot of people have back pain. And so I like one where find a table or a stool and just bend forward. And if you can see, I've got like a stool. I'm pressing it forward and just going into flexion. So a lot of muscles on our back, they're constantly turned on and they just never get that stretch. Going into flexion also opens up the spaces in your spine. So it gives your discs good blood flow.
That's great.
Yeah, I like those too. Lastly, I like this one. Side to side. That stretches out these muscles on the side of your lower back, which are the big muscles that help stabilize your lower back. So a lot of people get like that one-sided back pain. You can add an arm if you want to. I'll show you on the side. And lumbar discs, the discs in our back, they don't have good blood flow. So anything we can do to improve the circulation in our lower back is going to be good for our discs. So those little windshield wipers I just showed, but also walking and even intermittent jogging has been shown to help improve the circulation in the discs in our back.
Great. Well, we are bumping up on 5 o'clock. Are there any final questions? I think I'm going to put you back on gallery view so I can see everybody again. There we go. Yeah, it looks like, yep, we got a big thank you from Margie Coggins. So thank you so much, Jodi. My goodness, you covered it all. We really appreciate it. So we'll give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, there's a question here if you could send us the exercise list. Yeah, which is that slide, I think that was in your presentation.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
I'd be
anything else
happy
that
to
you'd
do.
like to add?
Could someone also put the in the chat where we need to sign up for the exercise class at LMH?
Oh, the Walktober class?
Yes.
Yeah, Autumn, can you put that in the chat for us?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll I can do a follow-up email to everyone with all that info too in it too, but never hurts to get it right now. So yeah, so it's Walktober. It's like do you set goals for walking for the month of October? Is that the plan? Oops, I'll ask Autumn to unmute.
Sorry. Yeah, so Walktober is just a walking challenge. You'll have, I think it's like 600 minutes of exercise throughout the month. You'll record it. You can do it on your own in a